So today I am in Poppy Cyster's studio in Dollar. What a fab studio, Poppy.
Nice and bright. Actually, even when the clouds are like this, overcast, it's still it's plenty bright. So it's nice and it's looking quite tidy today. I've got
Very tidy, and you knew I was coming.
Look around,
Yeah. So I mean, you built this, or this building was here, and you've kind of.
Yeah, this was the old garage, which we converted into a perfect little studio space. Got my sink. I've got my enormous rack here.
And your plants that are alive, which is great.
Oh yes, yeah, and I try and remember to give them a little drink every once in a while. But no, it's a really flexible space actually, because most of the equipment's on wheels. So if I am painting on
that's a good idea.
Really big ones.
Yeah, you can just move everything around and.
Yeah, my table. I move this constantly. You know, the going for a little wander with me.
Yeah.
Even this. So yes, I can use these big walls if I need them because.
You see, you thought that out.
Well,
You're like an interior designer.
Through experience, but I mean, I work on the floor sometimes, as you can probably see, the drips and drops.
Yeah.
And obviously the easels and the tabletop. So I think it's depending on the size or the quantity of little works I'm working on. It's really nice to be able to clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you always want to paint? I mean, I know you went to art school, but was that something you just kind of knew from an earlier?
Yes, absolutely. I think I always wanted to be making things or drawing or painting. My mother had a framing company when I was little, so I grew up with that.
Okay.
And she used to, instead of a little notepad, she used to give me her full-size mount boards to doodle on, and I would go and spend hours just happily painting away on a quite large scale. So I think back then I was destined to do bigger work.
Because your works are big. I mean, let's start when you're dawdling or doodling, as it were. So, is this a starting point where you're sort of thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole drawer of them, little sketches. I do some of the sketching I actually do on the canvas as it's developing, but I'll use these little paper sketches as a starting point. This is my sketch pad rather than being a pad; they're all loose leaves. And it's experimenting with the different, if I know what palette I'm using, yellows, oranges, peaches, pinks.
Mood related or just what you feel like?
I think both. I think sometimes I have a real yen to get out the whatever. Say these limes and these chartreuse, the fluorescent chartreuse. I just had to.
Yeah.
I found it when I was sorting out. I know, right, that's it.
Gonna use that.
Got to get that. Other times it's just something's happened in another painting, which I really loved. Maybe the cool kind of oranges with the darker umbers going, oh, I like that. And then I'll take that and start another one with that in mind. So they sort of roll into each other.
So these are memories. You don't work from or do you work from photographs?
I do take some photographs, but they're more to kind of lock in my mind when I'm out, experiencing things and enjoying the landscape. So I'll want to remember certain bits, but I don't come back and take one photograph and paint it. So it's a jumbled up of memories, photographs, little sketches, and then it gets back to the studio and I kind of pick and choose which bits I want to work from. And then actually as the piece progresses, I'm not kind of rigidly trying to stick to what I originally thought, because I think you've got to let the work develop, and sometimes it does take a left turn and turn unexpected.
Yeah, well, I guess sometimes you have a sort of happy accident and you think, I'm going to go with that, which is really great.
Absolutely, and that's half the fun. I think it keeps it's a balance, isn't it, between keeping it... Oh, sorry. That would happen, wouldn't it? With keeping it a little bit spontaneous, but also some order. You want that balance. You want the composition to be interesting and exciting, and the spontaneity of the way I work with kind of oozing and dragging the paint around is a nice contrast to the more structured, where the horizon line is often my main structural point.
Well, I was going to say, so when you look at a canvas, are there any rules, or really you're just kind of...
They're loose. The rules I kind of sometimes totally ignore. And again, it depends. It depends what format I'm on. Depends what mood I'm in.
Yep.
And I like to turn things on their head. I mean, I'll choose something like this one, for example. I've got quite a high horizon line.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's split into, a little bit on the kind of, mid-ground there.
Yeah.
But then all the drama, some of the, big part of the drama is coming down into the foreground. And the focus was going to be that.
Mostly seascapes as well.
Yes,
Yeah, so you're kind of drawn to the...
Yeah, it's the interplay between the ocean and the sky.
Yeah.
And I think when they merge, it's just wonderful because the reflection, the way that the water's just everywhere. Yeah, I love. I think I feel freest when I'm by the sea, by the ocean, and being kind of in those elements. And I suppose the paintings I'm most proud of, I think, probably just convey that feeling of being there and that breeze in your face.
Yeah,
and
like this one.
Rushing by. Yeah, the energy that you get. Most of us feel a bit of a buzz of being out in the outdoors, just because of the size of the ocean and the. It just puts
and you're
wanting
wanting to take people there with your work.
Yeah, I mean, I like to focus on that and the feeling of being out there rather than what the actual water looks like.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of, what it might feel like, what are the sounds, the senses. And if I can get that on a canvas, I'm happy.
Very pleased.
Yeah.
What about the titles? You always have these amazing titles. I'm actually going to also just look at all these paraphernalia, which is just lovely to see.
All shoved together.
How do you come up with the titles?
I spend a lot of time thinking and looking at them, and I suppose it comes back to me remembering the feelings of being there. And a lot of the time I think when I see something really beautiful, or you're seeing an amazing sky, that your first thought is, okay, how incredible it is, but very quickly followed by, you want your loved ones, you want those awesome little people and wonderful bunch that you spend your life with, your nearest and dearest, you want them to be there and share it. So a lot of the titles, do indicate that, I think, and it's the togetherness, because, experience shared.
Yes, they're warm titles. Because I see the titles from your paintings before I sometimes see the paintings, and I'm then kind of thinking, gosh, what does she mean by sort of embracing the love or something like that, And
I don't know if that's from Mum, but
sort of similar to that.
Absolutely, yes, and kind of, wait with me here or stay with me here.
I should have said that one. Yeah.
No, but things like that, because I think that's where it does become special, and it's like looking back. We've all had wonderful days at the beach or up a mountain or something, and we don't necessarily remember the details of it or the details of the conversations we shared, but we remember how it felt. Yeah. And 2 or 3 things. I've just done a couple of little paintings. I think they were called Pink Afternoons. When you've been there and you see this wonderful afternoon stretching out into the evening and the sky's turning pink. And what I remember, it's just that pink afternoon. You refer back to it, like, oh, remember that? Yeah. So that's a...
Memories, creating those, isn't it?
It is. And those are the things we hold dear, yeah.
Lastly, who inspires you? You're an abstract painter, mostly.
Yes. When I was very young, I saw Mark Rothko's work.
Right,
and thought, this is the coolest painting I've ever seen in my life. And when I was studying, I had a big professional crush on Albert Irvin.
Okay.
Loved the way he applies, and just his paint, and they're just so high energy. And I think I look back at my student work and I very much see how influenced I was by him. And things that are completely not at all the way I paint, but Colin Park, I used to love still do his faces particularly. Yeah. Really thick. You can follow the paint the way he. You follow his arms, basically his movement. But so many people. But those are the first 3 that come to my head, and it's all about colour too. Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, colour is so important, and we're kind of coming to the end of this. But colour is so important in your work.
Yes, it is absolutely just everything to me. I love the way colours interplay, and I do a lot of very, very thin washes. I use a water sprayer, as I'm working. So a lot will be painted on, sprayed off, because you've got the drips, and just build up those layers, and you can see how many colours. When you're standing, I think a lot gets lost in photographs, sadly, but when you're standing in front of it, you can see how many layers, and the build up, it just makes the colours look like they're buzzing.
Amazing,
Yeah, and I love what you find too, because the things that you're not expecting, as you can be using a colour for years and all sorts of mixing it. All different ways, but somehow you still get these little breakthroughs of, oh, look at that, and how it interplays. And pinks and oranges are always
a good, yes,
to hand.
always a good time.
Always
Well, listen,
lots of fluorescent pink.
lovely seeing everything. This is all coming to me next week, and it will be in dollar.
Nice
It's going to
collection.
look fantastic. Yeah, can't wait. Thanks, Poppy.
Lovely. Thanks, Becky.